underground bunkers, coup fears, drone assassination plots. And now comparisons to Hitler and Stalin. A former Kremlin insider says Vladimir Putin's world is shrinking into something dark and dangerous as Russia's war grinds on. So is the Kremlin entering its most paranoid phase yet? Russian President Vladimir Putin could face a downfall similar to Adolf Hitler's final days in a bunker, claims exiled Kremlin critic Mikhail Khodorkovsky. In a recent interview to The Sun, Khodorkovsky said,
Putin has done a lot to create the impression he is like Hitler. The very way he waged the military operation against Ukraine was orchestrated in a way that calls for comparisons with Hitler's Germany.
Khodorkovsky, once Russia's richest businessman before spending a decade in prison after clashing with Putin, claimed the Russian leader is becoming increasingly isolated, paranoid, and dependent on security services as the war in Ukraine drags into its fifth year. According to Khodorkovsky, Putin believed Russian forces could rapidly seize Kyiv after launching the invasion in 2022. But instead, Russia now faces mounting battlefield losses, economic strain, and growing domestic unease. Khodorkovsky warned that Putin's political system depends on propaganda and the loyalty of intelligence agencies, and said cracks are beginning to emerge.
Putin's popularity ratings are plummeting. He will be worried about this because his power rests on two pillars: the propaganda creating popularity for him and the intelligence services. If the propaganda machine fails, this will create a very dangerous situation. It will leave Putin's power resting only on his security and intelligence services, and in that case, they might eat him alive.
The exiled opposition figure pointed to polling by the state-linked FOM Institute showing trust in Putin falling to 71%, reportedly the sharpest decline since 2019. The warnings come amid reports from a leaked European intelligence assessment claiming Putin's personal security has been significantly tightened since March 2026 over fears of leaks, coup attempts, and even assassination threats involving drones. The report alleged the Russian president has increasingly spent extended periods inside underground facilities in Russia's Krasnodar region. Ukrainian leaders have also drawn comparisons between Putin and Nazi Germany. In a March interview, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky said,
"We know how it ended for Hitler. We understand how it will end for Putin. I am sure a tragic end awaits their nation."
Former Ukrainian security chief Oleksiy Danilov similarly described Putin as a modern Hitler, predicting Russia would eventually face destruction, similar to Germany after World War II.
Putin is not much different from Hitler. He is just a modern Hitler. From 1941 to 1945, Germany was at war with almost the whole world. In May 1945, it was left in ruins. The same will happen with Russia. They are doomed to it.
In his interview, Khodorkovsky also compared Putin's growing isolation to Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin.
Stalin ended his life in a puddle of his own vomit because no one dared approaching him when he collapsed. I think this is the route that Putin is following now. This is the direct route to that kind of end to his life.
He argued that fear inside Russia's elite circles increasingly mirrors the atmosphere under Stalin, even if the scale of repression today is smaller. Since the Ukraine invasion began, more than 20,000 people have reportedly been detained in Russia for anti-war activities, according to rights groups and opposition activists. On the battlefields of southern Ukraine, where the war has settled into something grimly familiar, grinding, attritional, and deadly, something unusual happened this week. A Ukrainian reconnaissance drone tracked a column of Russian military equipment moving north from Crimea toward the Zaporizhia front. And then it struck. What made this different wasn't the strike itself. Ukraine destroys Russian equipment regularly. What made it different was what was in that convoy: a Tornado-S multiple-launch rocket system, one of Russia's rarest, most capable, and most expensive weapons on this battlefield. The Tornado-S is not your Cold War relic. It entered service in 2016, making it younger than some of the soldiers currently fighting in this war. It can fire 12 guided 300mm missiles in rapid succession, missiles that use GLONASS satellite navigation to hit targets up to 120 kilometers away. That's not just range, that's precision at range. Compare that to Russia's older Grad rocket systems, and you're talking about an entirely different class of weapon. Russia knew the risk. They knew Ukraine would come for it. So the Tornado S wasn't traveling alone. It had an escort of 2 trucks mounted with anti-aircraft guns. And still, a Ukrainian drone flew directly over them and hit the launcher dead on while it was moving. The Tornado S was, according to all available reporting, completely destroyed. Russia is the only country that operates the Tornado S, and by most estimates, they have somewhere between 50 and 100 of these launchers in total. The open-source intelligence project Oryx says Russia has lost only a small number of Tornado S launchers since the war began in February 2022. Every single one of them is a significant blow. A single launcher unit is estimated to cost $15 million or more, but that number almost undersells the loss. This is a weapon Russia cannot easily replace, and in a war that has already consumed staggering quantities of Russian armor, artillery, and air defense equipment, every irreplaceable system that burns is one Russia cannot put back on the line. Pull back from that burning launcher for a moment and look at the bigger picture. The Zaporizhzhia front has not seen a dramatic breakthrough, not for Ukraine, not for Russia. But there is pressure. Ukrainian forces have been attacking and, in certain positions, successfully taking ground. That's enough to worry Russian commanders. And a worried Russian commander, it turns out, sometimes makes expensive decisions. Sending the Tornado S toward the front line was one of those decisions. Whatever mission that system was supposed to carry out, whatever Ukrainian positions it was supposed to hit, whatever concentrations of troops or equipment it was meant to target, none of that will happen now. The mission died with the launcher. Ukraine has reportedly launched a large-scale missile and drone assault deep inside Russian territory, striking key military-industrial and energy infrastructure. Russian telegram channels and local accounts indicated that one of the primary targets was JSC IIR Progress in Cheboksary, a state institute involved in producing components for high-precision weapons. According to the Kyiv Independent, explosions were reported following an air raid alert, with visuals showing a large fire at the site. The facility, located roughly 1,200 kilometers from Ukraine's border, is known to develop electronic warfare systems, including Komet antenna arrays used in Shahed-type drones, Iskander-K cruise missiles, and guided aerial bombs. Regional Governor Oleg Nikolaev said one person was injured in the strike. Russian sources claimed the attack involved a Ukrainian-made FP-5 Flamingo missile, followed by additional drone strikes. Separately, Ukrainian forces reportedly targeted the Kryvyi oil refinery, also known as Kinef, in Leningrad Oblast. Governor Alexander Drozdenko confirmed a strike in the industrial zone, later identifying the refinery as the main target. Satellite fire data from NASA's FIRM system appeared to corroborate the presence of multiple fires at the site. The Kryvyi refinery is among Russia's largest, processing up to 21 million tons of crude annually and producing over 6% of the country's refined oil, fuel critical to military logistics. Drozdenko said 29 drones were intercepted over the region. Across Russia, the scale of the assault appeared extensive. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin reported 5 drones shot down near the capital, while Russia's defense ministry claimed a total of 289 drones were intercepted nationwide. At least 18 airports imposed temporary ground stops, with air raid alerts extending as far as 2,000 kilometers from the front line. Explosions were also reported in occupied Crimea, as well as in Voronezh and Kazan. The Ukrainian military has not officially confirmed the operation, and the full extent of damage remains unclear. The reported use of the FP-5 Flamingo missile is notable. Previously described by President Volodymyr Zelensky as Ukraine's most successful missile, the system is believed to carry a 1,000-kilogram warhead with a range of up to 3,000 kilometers. The strikes come just one day after a Ukrainian drone hit a residential building in central Moscow, one of the deepest incursions into the capital since the war began, and less than a week before Russia's Victory Day parade. If confirmed, the operation signals a sustained Ukrainian strategy to degrade Russia's warfighting capacity far beyond the front lines, targeting both the engines of production and the arteries of supply.